from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Before we get to Ted, Jay Belly, the governor of Illinois, is doing his best to set himself up as the chief antagonist to Trump. And he believes that one good trolling deserves another. This was his offering. Take a listen.
I'm here today to make an important announcement. The world's finest geographers, experts who study the Earth's natural environment, have concluded a decades-long council and determined that a Great Lake deserves to be named after a great state. So today, I'm issuing a proclamation declaring that hereinafter, Lake Michigan shall be known as Lake Illinois. The proclamation has been forwarded to Google to ensure the world's maps reflect this momentous change. In addition, the recent announcement that to protect the homeland, the United States will be purchasing Greenland. Illinois will now be annexing Green Bay to protect itself against enemies, foreign and domestic. I've also instructed my team to work diligently to prepare for an important announcement next week regarding the Mississippi River. God bless America, and bear down. Thank you.
Oh, such a try-hard. I mean, oh my God.
How droll. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. That was so funny.
I mean, you guys control your laughter, okay? Both of you, please.
He is a funny Jay Belly, isn't he?
I don't think it worked.
No, you don't think so? I mean, it's not giggle times in Illinois these days. You know, it's something that actually is happening that is, I mean, it's somewhat interesting. This has been going on for some time, but it's gotten some air support from the state of Indiana, not trolling, at least not entirely, which is the 5 counties in southern Illinois that voted to secede from Illinois to join Indiana. Mm-hmm. The Indiana state legislature is examining the proposition to incorporate Iroquois, Calhoun, Clinton, 6 counties actually, or 7 counties, Greene, Jersey, Madison, and Perry counties, because all of those 7 counties approved a non-binding ballot question to secede from Illinois. 6 of the 7 counties approved the advisory question by more than 70%. Now, constitutionally, it's incredibly difficult. You'd need the support of both state legislatures in addition to Congress. Unlikely to happen. But the fact that you have residents in those 7 counties, and I'm sure many more if they put a non-binding resolution on the ballot, that want to leave the state altogether, much like so many of its residents do. I mean, I remember 10 years ago, the Paul Simon Institute found in a survey that 51% of Illinois residents wanted to leave. That was a decade ago. I wonder what that number is now. I mean, that's the real indictment, is that everybody, so many, perhaps even a majority of Illinois residents have an eye towards the door.
But yeah, that's just by the way, I don't know if you followed it, but since they started the separation movement, there's 33 counties so far that have already voted to separate from Illinois. So those that you mentioned were just in the last election.
Right. It's been going on for a while, right?
It's been going on for a while. 33 counties, and then there's a whole bunch of other counties that have created committees. So there's 2 groups working on this. One is creating the infrastructure to get it all done. Another one is working to have the referendum. What's fascinating is just how Indiana picked up on the fact that these people are disenfranchised, put out an offer saying, "Hey, come join Indiana," and Pritzker, totally misses it and instead calls it a stunt, and basically says, "And who the hell wants to move to Indiana?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just, I think, reflective of just how much he misunderstands what's going on, especially downstate. He really focused on Chicago and Cook County.
Well, he could be a Shakespearean figure. He certainly has the grotesque features to fit the bill. But I'm talking specifically about Pride going before the fall, both in terms of his dismissal of people who aren't happy being residents here, voting so, and then sort of this trying to high dungeon Trump for his own personal political primary interests. We'll see. I mean, he's been fortunate that he hasn't been burdened with his association with Brandon Johnson, because the same policies at the state are happening. The same policies at the city are happening at the state. But, he's on a bit of a knife's edge. I mean, I know his numbers, and they're better than they should be, but they're certainly not invulnerable.
This whole Doge thing, I think, is kind of what's needed to expose what exactly is going on in Illinois. How bad things are for ordinary people, and the media. He's managed to keep up the whole aura of that he's doing well, but if you look at the overall data, and we're going to show some of that in the near future, it's really bad, really bad. And one of the interesting comments he made was about how much wealthier Illinois is than Indiana. But we looked at that kind of comment, and again, it's dismissive of the everyday Illinoisans who live south of I-80. So Cook County has average weekly earnings of about $1,600 a week, but the counties that have voted to separate is less than 1,000. These are counties that are struggling, cities that are struggling. Right, you're talking about the downstate cities that have lost manufacturing, lost people. They want help, and they also want representation. That's their biggest thing, is that they don't. Right, the way things work in Illinois, they have no representation anymore. And that's something that I think Indiana would offer them. So that's why that's why this whole thing makes sense. Obviously, I don't support any kind of a separation, but you can understand why some people are open-minded to it.
Yeah, California is trying to do the same thing. But I was going to ask you, so J.B. Pritzker, he's appearing to be soft launching his campaign for president, but wouldn't it be great if President Trump brought Doge to Illinois? What do you think we would find, or they would find?
Well, my gosh, I mean, you just see. Well, they'd be busy, and I think it's. I've been thinking about this. You think about the Chicago public schools, right? You got the CPS, you got the unions. They're negotiating, and they're fighting over whether the total raises will be 9% a year or 12% a year. I mean, for 4 years in a row, that is amazing and crazy. Who's going to stop it? There's nobody in Illinois that can stop what they're doing. The mayor, of course, is not going to stop it. Pritzker's not going to stop it. There is no entity or people or anything that can stop that kind of spending. And it's the same thing at the state level. I'm looking at the budgets in front of me now at the state level, right? They just go up, up, up. Who cares if they can create $3 billion or $5 billion deficits? They're going up. The Doge would have a field day here. I mean, just look at the empty schools in Chicago. You just shut them down, right? Why do we keep schools that have capacity for 1,000 people and there's only 25 students in them? They should be, shut immediately. So they'd find all kinds of fraud, waste, and abuse here, no doubt.
And for a state that is supposedly as fiscally healthy as Pritzker advertises it to be, it's odd that he's talking again sort of backhandedly about a tax hike after his efforts to graduate the state income tax failed a couple of years back. But you picked up on that.
Yeah, I don't think he understood probably what he and his team were doing. They took all that COVID money, and they did manage to pay down the bills and all that because there's so many billions that came in through COVID and the inflated economy, and so that he did, and he's taken spending dramatically up over the last 5 years. But I think what he's done is he's committed all that money, right? It's temporary money, and he's committed it all to Medicaid and human services, and he's trapped because it's all committed now, and he's got to figure out, suddenly I've got these $3 and $5 billion deficits, and nobody told me. My team didn't tell me I did this, and now he's got to figure out what. And of course, that's why he's opening it up against potential tax hikes. He's got a mess. He's created a mess.
Right. Oops, he did it again. Dexter Reed settlement. We talked about this when it was first reported, before we had a figure to it. We suspected it would be seven figures. It is in fact seven figures. $1.25 million has been floated as a settlement in the Dexter Reed case for a guy who was out on electronic monitoring. Police stopped for people to refresh their recollection. Just quickly, he opened fire on police. He initiated the firefight with police and shot a police officer. And now some in the city want to pay him $1.25 million. These are the sorts of incidents, examples that can galvanize people around the way government works or doesn't work, and whose interests it really serves. I wonder, this seems to me like another rife area. There's the Chicago Political Press Corps always focuses on settlements in cases where police officers are accused of excessive force. But boy, a real inventory of settlements that are on the kind of Dexter Reed, where somebody who has committed criminal acts, the city decides to settle with because basically they're playing racial politics, which is exactly what this is. That would be really interesting, too. I mean, there's certain sorts of spend that I think gets people's attention. This case is an example. And, of course, at the state level, you were talking about Medicaid and the commitments there. All of the spending that has gone on by Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and Tony Preckwinkle in support of people in this country illegally who are residing in Illinois gets people's attention. Yeah,
the $1.5 billion that's spent on the illegal immigrants, about $40 to $80 million a month over the last 2.5 years. That's a massive amount of money, and that's just the part that I could get my hands on. We couldn't find, the actual Medicaid spend. There's all kinds of spending on education that we don't know how to allocate. Who's an illegal immigrant that's now in the schools, right? At $20,000 a pop for every kid, you're talking about billions of dollars, and nobody knows it. Nobody knows how it's spent, where it's spent. We'd have a field day trying to get in there and figure out what's happening.
All right, well, I'll try to have a field day from the outside looking in. Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to